What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. For today's video, thanks to Shozy Store, we're going to be checking out the MHZ Supreme Commander Transformers Rise of the Beasts Optimus Prime. Now, if you would like one for yourself, then be sure to check out the links down below. Now, first of all, I do want to fly through Prime's weaponry because accessory-wise, this guy is definitely packing a punch. Up first, we have not one, but two inbuilt forearm blasters, which detail-wise are looking really sharp. Unlike the DNA design kit, they are also surprisingly mirrored sculpts. So there is one intended for the left-hand side and one intended for the right-hand side, so he will now finally be able to tell Primal to stand down. Next up, to show Scourge the true power of a Prime, are easily a pair of my favourites. We have the Michael Bay inspired Energon blades, which detail-wise are looking super cool. I do believe this is pretty much an upscale of the original Studio Series Optimus Prime blade, although this time round has been painted pretty much tip to tip in this wicked metallic silver. We then see the return of the iconic G1 inspired Energon battle axe, which again, sculpt work wise, is looking kind of sharp. Definitely does appear to be an upscale of the one included with Optimus Primal. And for those who are fans of the original G1 series, here is the return of the Bumblebee movie Ion Blaster, which again, sculpt work wise, looks to be pretty decent. So it is awesome to finally see a Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime sport the iconic Ion Blaster, much like we were originally seeing from some of the concept art of the movie. And for whatever reason, if you guys were a fan of that tiny little arm cannon which did originally come included with Studio Series Optimus Prime, then this also makes a return. Although I will be honest guys, this is easily the weakest accessory out of the entire bunch. And then some which I thought was super cool would be two holograms. So we have Earth, inspired by the Bumblebee movie, and then we have a hologram of the Transwarp key, which again looks pretty decent in terms of detail. And then easily the star of the show when it comes to truck mode would be this brand new trailer hitch, which I won't lie to you guys, does wonders for that alt mode. Although I do think there is a slight missed opportunity with this. It would have been really cool had this also been able to kind of transform into a shield for Optimus Prime to use whilst in robot form. But for truck mode, this thing is absolutely awesome. And then finally, we have the remnants of the Noah Diaz's exosuit. So sadly, it seems like mine was damaged in battle because once I cracked the box open, these were the only pieces left of the exosuit. So it seems like maybe the factory missed it before they sent mine out, which is honestly kind of a shame. And unfortunately, I also never had the Transwarp key. So those are two accessories which this guy should include, and I'm pretty certain you guys will see if you do decide to order yours. And to pair along with Noah Diaz's exosuit are a pair of blast effects. So there are a set which are intended for the jetpack, and then a set which are intended for the arm cannons. And because this Optimus Prime is packing a whole variety of accessories, he also comes with quite a few attachments for you to store them in either robot or truck mode, which honestly I thought was kind of cool, especially when it does come around to truck mode, because you can literally have this Optimus Prime armed to the teeth. But to see the true power of this Prime, now let's check out the robot mode, which is pretty much an upscale and a much better painted version of the original. So as we check out the details, this guy's looking sick. I mean, this is based on what I believe to be one of the best Optimus Primes that Hasbro and Takara Tomy have ever released. So the sculpt work is looking sharp. I mean, check out the mouthpiece complete with all of the cybernetic details that we saw in the Rise of the Beast movie, and the paintwork for the torso too is looking so nice. There are these multi-layered mechanized panels. I'm also loving the sculpting that you can see here for the biceps and the forearms. There are some things which I'm not too keen on, you know, a few pieces which I think maybe they could have slightly modified, which I will touch base with once we check out the articulation. But look at all of the details which are now massively amplified by the metallic silver. And one thing which I loved about the Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime design would be the return to form, where there is actually truck mode pieces visible on the robot design. This really does seem as if though it is a transformer and not just a streamlined robot like we were seeing from some of those later Michael Bay movies. And even the foot design too has been so nicely painted and sculpted. As we spin Prime round here to the back, more or less the same as the original. Once again, there are a few things which I think maybe they could have slightly modified. I mean, for example, had they found a way, much like the DNA design kit, to kind of compress these pieces, personally, I think that would have looked a little better. But besides that, again, painted pretty much front side to back. Even the spinal column is packing that really awesome cylindrical piece, which again we saw present on the actual CG design, and the back of the head too has been just as nicely painted and detailed as the front. So it's a phenomenal Optimus Prime. You know, if you weren't able to track down one of the official versions due to it being super elusive, then I really do think this is the next best thing. And in some ways, this is even better than the official version in my opinion, because not only is it much larger, much cheaper, but accessory wise, this literally includes everything and more that I would want from a Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime. So, checking out this Optimus Prime's pose ability, to begin with, the head is on a supreme ball joint. I mean, check out that range of motion. It will then look down, it can tilt side to side, rotate left to right. Now, the only thing completely stopping me from recommending this over the DNA design kit would be the shoulder engineering, because sadly, these are identical to the original. So, they pretty much want to whack Prime in the side of the head, and they are super limiting in terms of the poses. So, in some ways, I really wish this company had kind of retweaked these, much like you will see when it does come around to truck mode. So, that's a bit of a shame, and I also find the smokestacks to be super oversized. You know, since I have now been able to pick up that DNA design kit, these really do stick out like a sore thumb in comparison. But the shoulders will rotate all the way around with no problem at all. There is then a bicep cut, a double jointed elbow, a wrist joint, because this is pretty much the same mold as the original. Check this out, guys. He's even packing that really cool fake ab crunch, which allows you to get him into some super dynamic poses. The waist can rotate all the way around with no issue, and the hip joint is awesome. So this pretty much does two joints in one. I mean, look at that high kick. That is supreme. There is then a knee bend, which can go pretty much to 90. When it comes here to the outwards range, you are going to want to take the skirt armor. That is a pretty decent kick out to the side. There is then a thigh swivel, and then finally, as we come down here to the feet, these can rock forward slightly, rock backwards. They can tilt side to side in both directions, and due to conversion, can also rotate all the way around. So it's a very well articulated Optimus Prime. You know, if you do own the original or you've seen how that one articulates, then you can expect pretty much the same here from this guy, although because he does have some diecast integrated into the design, he is a little more well balanced, especially when getting him into some of those slightly more dynamic poses. But as you guys all know, to see what Optimus Prime is truly capable of, now let's put him through the pose test. So, checking out some robot mode comparisons, just for you guys, I have reverted back my original Studio Series Optimus Prime to its original form. So, here it is without any of the DNA design upgrades, and as you can see, just when it does come to robot mode, Supreme Commander is pretty much an oversized as well as a massive repaint, and between the two, I will say this one is a lot closer to the movie. I mean, for example, the shade of the lights definitely does better match the CG design. The same can be said here for the knee details, and especially as we check out that foot design, and he is much bigger. So for those who have always wanted Optimus Prime to be more in that leader class size, then this is definitely the Optimus worth checking out. And this at the moment is even cheaper than the original retail price of this Optimus Prime, and because he has been so incredibly scalped, he's now pretty much doubled and in some cases tripled that price tag. So if you haven't been able to track down a Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime, you want one that can transform, then Supreme Commander is definitely your guy. But as I slap back on those DNA design upgrades, I will go ahead and say, guys, I do find the smokestacks of this to now look so much nicer. It's honestly kind of baffling as to why MHZ did kind of retool the legs when it comes to the truck mode, but not the shoulders. I mean, they didn't even reduce the size of the smokestacks, which to be honest, I do think look kind of ridiculous in proportion to the rest of the robot design. But besides those, it still is a very solid Optimus Prime. And you can see that even more once I compare it alongside one of the most accurate versions of this character which has so far been released. Here we have the non-transforming YOLO Park Optimus Prime, and one of the many things which I love about the oversize of the Supreme Commander is that it actually doesn't scale too badly stacked up against the YOLO Park Scourge, which, as I've mentioned in so many reviews, I think is the definitive Scourge which has so far been released for the film. To be honest, guys, these make for a killer pairing, especially when you kind of pose them out, recreating the scenes from the movie. But for those who are looking to kind of integrate this Supreme Commander into their Studio Series collection, here we have the Leader Class Scourge. Now, this time round, I do find Scourge to be a little too small in comparison to the movie, but again, depending how you do pose these guys out on the shelf, maybe you can make it work, although honestly, I do think the YOLO Park Scourge is probably the perfect to scale here with this Optimus Prime. And then finally, if you're wondering how Supreme Commander kind of stacks up against regular deluxe Autobots, here we have Bumblebee, also from the Rise of the Beast movie, and do you know what? I really don't think the scale between these here work too badly at all. So in terms of a display, with some characters, I can definitely see this working as a Studio Series stand-in. So now checking out Optimus Prime's transformation, to begin with you are going to want to take a hold of the shoulder, whack this bad boy here out to the side, then we can take this panel, hinge this upwards, take a hold of the fist and slide this here all the way inside, snap this piece back over the top, then what you'll do is rotate here at the bicep and then take a hold of all of these hinge joints on the underside and pretty much begin to extend them outwards. So then for the next step we can take this big metallic silver piece, slide this over the top of the bicep and do exactly the same on the opposite side. Bang! Once that's complete, we can spin Prime round here to the back, take a hold of the backpack and completely detach that there all the way down. Then for the next step, you are going to want to bend him at that fake ab crunch, so bring that there all the way forwards, and now is where we can take a hold of the front set of tyres. So these bad boys will literally swing all the way out to the side. We can then hinge Prime here upwards, take a hold of the windshield and kind of pop these pieces here forwards. Now, much like the transformation in the movie, we are then going to want to spin this entire piece here all the way around until the back is now pretty much facing the front. Then what you'll do is spin around here to the front, take a hold of this panel, pop this upwards so that it covers the entire faceplate, and then we are going to grab a hold of the neck and slide this piece here all of the way inside. Now once that's done, we can then take the windshield, snap this piece here back into place, and much like on the original, now is where you are going to want to take a hold of the shoulder, rotate this here to the back, kind of utilize the elbow and the bicep joint pretty much to get this here out of the way, because we are going to swivel this entire shoulder joint all the way backwards so that at the moment it should look exactly like this. Now that's complete, we are then going to want to spin around here to the back. Now there is a tiny little tab that is going to slide into that slot, so first of all make sure that is nice and pushed into place. Then for the next step, we can make sure all of those joints are fully extended, and much like the original G1 transformation, you are then going to want to slide the forearm inside this hollow cavity. That will then allow it so we can take this panel, snap this section here into place, and then for some finishing touches, you are then going to want to take a hold of this piece, pop this here upwards, snap that there into place, and then take a hold of this shoulder pad and slide this here down. Now again, do exactly the same on the opposite side. Bang! Once that's complete, we can take the entire front end of the truck and pretty much compress this against those two little circular tabs. So once that's complete, the entire front part of the cab should look exactly like this. Then what we can do is spin around here to the legs. Now this is really where the major differences are going to come into play. So for the first step, you are going to want to take hold of this piece and hinge it all of the way forwards so that right now it should look something like this. Then for the next step, we can take a hold of this panel, pop this section here down. That will then make it so that we can take the shin guard and pop this piece here all of the way up like that. Now is where you are really going to see some of the key differences. So for this piece, we are first of all going to want to bend here at this hinge joint and then rotate around utilizing this ball joint. Once that's complete, we can then take this section, kind of swing this here around to the back, take a hold of the foot, rotate this here inwards, snap this piece here into place so that it should look exactly like this. And much like on the original, what you'll do now is pretty much line up these tabs and slots with these tabs and slots on the smokestacks. So begin kind of hinging this here backwards, bring this piece here down. We can then take this section and kind of rotate this piece here upwards, and then all you'll do is line this section here up, snap that into place, and again do exactly the same on the opposite side. Bang! Once that's complete, now is where we can pretty much begin tidying up the side of the truck. So what you'll do then is take a hold of these gas cans, kind of pull them outwards. Do the same here for this side, pull this gas can up. Then what we can do is combine these here directly down the middle, and pretty much you are then going to want to begin kind of straightening out these hip joints. So that right now they should look something along the lines of this. Then what will happen is we'll take these hip skirts, snap these here into place, and do exactly the same here on the opposite side, and that is pretty much the base transformation fully complete. So this is how Optimus Prime would look just as standard, and to be honest guys, even like this, I find this to be a massive step up in comparison to the original. So for example, there are no longer these massive blue pieces which are just kind of jutting out of the back. In some ways this is kind of reminiscent to the Studio Series Bumblebee movie Optimus Prime, which I thought was kind of cool, but MHZ have taken that slightly further and have given us the option to parts form. So if you bring in this trailer bed, there are some slots here on the underside which are going to line up with these tabs, so we can then just slide this here right over the top. And bang! Here we have Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime fully transformed into his G1 style truck, and he is looking awesome. So as we check out the details, the paintwork has been massively revamped in comparison to the original. The ball bar has now finally been fully decked out in this sick metallic silver, which definitely does better match what we finally saw in the movie, and all of the sculpt work here along the side definitely does seem as if though it is a direct match to some of the details in the film. I mean, all of these little metallic struts, unlike the original, have been fully painted. The same can even be said here for the side view mirrors. I also love how the top of the truck, unlike the original, is complete solid red plastic. So I believe on the original version there was a mixture of kind of red and grey mismatched pieces, which, let's all be honest, never looked the best. And as we spin him around here to the back, this is easily the money shot. This now looks so much better, and despite this pretty much using a big piece of parts forming, gonna go ahead and say it, guys, this is how the original Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime should have looked from the start. The trailer hitch detail is looking pretty sweet. There's no longer those massive blue pieces just kind of sticking out of the back, which I think looks so much nicer. And because they have retooled the foot design, Prime is even packing some tail light detail, which again is a great touch to the actual vehicle as seen in the film. And they never stopped there, because not only are all of the 6 wheels pinned on, but check this out, guys, they can now roll out like an absolute mother. Those are brilliant, and the dual wheels are actually independent, so you can kind of move them left to right. This isn't a fixed sculpt, so I thought that was pretty awesome. He shouldn't have any issues in literally slamming into the side of Scourge, a scene which unfortunately was cut from the Rise of the Beast movie. So it really is just a brilliant truck mode, you know, flawless. Definitely the main reason why personally I decided to jump on this Optimus Prime, and when you kind of factor in the price point, easily one of the best transforming primes so far released for the Rise of the Beast film. So, checking out some vehicle mode comparisons, once again, here we have the original Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime, completely stripped of any of those DNA design upgrades, and this is without a doubt where Supreme Commander brings the heat, because at least in truck mode, there really is no competition to be had, especially when you do begin to factor in that price point. I mean, check out all of the additional paint apps that we now have here around the side of the truck. Honestly, I never even realised that as part of the sculpt, this Prime was packing some side view mirrors. That is a detail which I am now only just noticing, considering that it has been painted on this version, and the top of the truck in my opinion looks so much nicer on the KO. But as we spin them around here to the side, of course that money shot is the back of the truck. Now I do know this uses a big piece of parts forming, but as I mentioned previously, even without this section I still find the back of the truck to look nicer in comparison to this release, because it now no longer has those massive blue struts just sticking out of the back. So if you haven't as of yet tracked down the official Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime, you're not too keen on paying those ridiculous scale up prices, then without a doubt Supreme Commander is definitely the Prime to get, because in truck mode he is really showing the true power of a Prime. And honestly, my thoughts on pricing continue, especially as we do whack out that Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime with the DNA design upgrade. So you're talking, if you can find the Rise of the Beast Prime for retail, roughly £35, and then an additional £50 for the upgrade kit. You know, that's coming in close to what you would pay for a Commander class. This costs roughly $30. You get everything included, including all of the accessories. So it really is a no-brainer, and to be honest, I do find the back of the truck of this one to look even nicer than the actual DNA design upgrades that we have here for the official version. So yeah, this one, at least in truck mode, definitely does take the win, although despite both of these definitely being an improvement in comparison to the original, I'm still holding out hope that a company will be able to give us exactly this, just without the parts forming. It would be kind of cool to see if they could somehow integrate all of this into that leg transformation and there would be no parts forming required. I guess only time will tell, but you guys let me know down below, out of the two, the original Rise of the Beast Prime with the upgrades and then now this Supreme Commander, which is the one you guys prefer? And then finally, really just to give you guys a sense of scale, here we have the deluxe class Rise of the Beast Bumblebee. And am I crazy, or does this actually work out to be so much better than the official comparison? I mean, the truck definitely does seem to be much bigger to match what we did see in the movie. So yeah, even for truck mode, I think the scale here works out so much better than the official Rise of the Beast Prime. And so, wrapping up on this review for the MHZ, Supreme Commander, Transformers, Rise of the Beasts, Optimus Prime, overall for a KO and upscale of the original, I think this guy, considering the price point, is absolutely fantastic. The robot mode appears to be very similar in design to the official version, just upscaled to pretty much a leader class size, although it's packing a punch when it does come to paint and detail. I mean, some of the new paint apps bring out details which I never even knew existed on that original version, not to mention this guy also has diecast integrated into his his design, plastic quality wise, in some areas I believe to be even better than that official offering, and the accessories. This not only comes with all of the accessories that I would want from a Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime, but even some accessories which were present in the Bumblebee movie, such as the hologram of Earth and the Ion Blaster. Those are awesome. And then when it comes around to truck mode, absolutely incredible, you know, literally an almost one-to-one match to what we did actually see in the Rise of the Beast film, and despite utilizing parts forming, I still think it's an absolute knockout even without that component, again in comparison to the original. So for the price point of around $30, I could not recommend this enough, especially if you haven't been able to track down that original Studio Series Optimus Prime. I would love to get your thoughts down below. If you are looking to pick this up, then definitely be sure to check out the link also down below. I want to thank you guys all so much for watching, and until my next review, transform and roll out!